Here we go. We lie. We lie. We lie right now. I think I sound pretty good right now. This is Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. I'm actually doing another one. I don't know why I decided to do it today because I'm also going to do it tomorrow too. But I got a laundry list of like podcasts, and I've been itching to kind of do it a little bit more. On Sunday, I took some Benadryl, and when I took that Benadryl, I did the podcast that time. I didn't want to do anything else. I was so out of it, which I needed that. It's always good to have like a rest day and all that good stuff. So that's what I did mostly throughout that day. And now I'm just trying to figure out what other things I need to do for the week. I am going to be doing my YouTube video. Most of it, I guess, tomorrow. And so we're going to see how that works out and everything. But I think I have a decent topic. I've been actually testing it out throughout the whole week. And yeah, so that's what we got going. I'm just bringing up my notes. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to list all the stuff that I'm planning to talk about today. Fired my dentist. Something up with my magnesium. And I think my market is women, mothers. Okay. So where do we begin? Let's go ahead and have this coffee real quick. Okay. That is interesting. I think I figured it out. I will try to find tomorrow, but here's the YouTube topic that I'm working on, that I've been thinking about the whole week, is that we as roasters, we do mess up from time to time. We may not admit it publicly, but the customers know, right? So in that case, it's one of those things to where if I'm on the other side as being a consumer, being a brewer, a not brewer, but a I brew the coffee. Yeah, brewer of the coffee. I have to figure out what's the best way I can go about doing or enjoying this coffee. Yeah, I can sit in the back and complain and bitch about that to the roaster, which I think it's rightfully said, something that you should probably do anyway. But in this case, I use it more of a challenge to see if I can make that coffee taste better. So I've roasted it 3 different ways. The first one is a light roast, and 5-minute first crack, 30-second developmental time. Craziness. So extremely vegetable tasting. Yes, of course, acidic in nature, but very vegetable. It was extremely one notey. It was not good. It's not good. So I brewed it so many different ways, tried out many different things, and I'm coming on the basis of like the best way to brew something that's extremely underdeveloped in roasting is to brew it as an immersion. And in this case, as I'm drinking it right now, do a cold brew of it and then go ahead and heat up the water so you can, still taste it hot. And I think that's one of the ways that I'm going about it. So I did it the extremely light roast. Then I have a roast that's kind of like baked a little bit. So 11-minute first crack. I wanted it to be even more exaggerated, so like a 12 or 13, but I didn't get there. The roast was moving quite fast, surprisingly, and I roasted that first. And then the third way is to roast it as a dark roast, right? And of course, somebody was probably used to that coffee tasting as a medium roast, but it's a dark roast now, you know. So, what I'm assessing right now in the cup is that this coffee, I mean, it's still lacking some of the acidity that would come forward in this coffee because I had tasted the dark roast today. Oh my God. It was so tasty. It was so good, genuinely good and sweet too. And it changed. It was sublime. It was really tasty. Full body and everything. But the thing that you got to realize or notice when you're tasting this coffee, especially if you do it as a drip coffee, it has no body. And the body is extremely important because it gives you that mouthfeel, gives you that illusion of like, okay, this is what I'm tasting. This tastes like coffee. And when something doesn't have much of any body, I think it's more like resembles tea, which again, why would I drink coffee if it tastes like tea? I really do hate that. That's one of my biggest things when either roasters or importers or whatnot, they do have their own tasting notes, right? And if they say anything tastes like some type of tea, I don't even give it time of day for the most part. I hate that. I really do. If I want a tea, I will drink tea. I'll make another post about that later, right? So I am on my soapbox, so to speak. So as I drink this coffee, it tastes closer to what I will call passable. It really works really well, and I'm glad that I kept going with it. Again, a good second place is a immersion brew. The AeroPress came out pretty well. The French press came out pretty well. It was just whistling with the lemon acidity quite a bit actually, but it came out still better than the drip pour over coffees. But this one I don't really get that much acidity, and then I do have another cup that I did for cold brew, and I think what I may do, because I'll drink it tomorrow morning because it's fine. I roasted it a little bit finer. Is I'll go ahead and mix it around right now, agitate the grounds, so then see if I can get some of the acidity into the cup to kind of balance it out to see if that makes sense, right? But as it is right now, this tastes like a medium roast actually. That's a nice trick though. It worked out pretty well. So I'm really surprised how you could play around with different parameters. And these are just the parameters that I'm using right now. And these are kind of like the tips and tricks that I plan to do to give people and all that good stuff of really experimenting. So I was going to do all three all at once, but that would have been a long video as I'm thinking of the script. So more than likely, I will tackle the next two next time, right? In the next video that I do. I do have a script that I'm working on right now, and I am going to finish up the script after we are done talking. I needed to get to be like 30 seconds. And yeah, so we'll go from there. But okay, so that's that. So I fired my dentist, right? Well, I fired a practice. I'm done with them. And they are not on this call to defend themselves. I think I'm right most of the time, but and fair. But in this case, the situation is that I got a root canal last year. I had another situation with another dentist telling me that something was done, but it wasn't done. And it was a partial root canal, so to speak. So everything went fine, right? And that was the procedure went fine. I love the dentist actually. The dentist is awesome person. But the practice, it would seem like it was fine too, you know. But then the new year comes and I needed to do a actual just a checkup, just a cleaning, right? And luckily enough, there my teeth are not fucked up anymore. Had a whole bunch of fillings and root canals last year, so everything came out pretty good. My gums are thick enough, so I don't have to do anything else. But right before I came in, the billing person told me that I had a bill of about $700, and I was like, "What the?" So then they called me back later, told me that, hey, the insurance didn't pay for this or whatnot. So it's out of your pocket, blah, blah, blah. So I was still pissed and try to use my Flex account. And I did do that. And I was actually kind of waiting to make sure there was not going to be any hiccups because the purchase or the service was actually done the year prior. And this is the new service provider, whatnot. So I went ahead and used that card, waited a couple of weeks to a month. But then, the bill still kept coming in. So I put $100, another $100 on that card. And then they let me know a couple of weeks ago that it didn't go through. I need to pay that money back. And at the same time, the dentist was still sending me bills, which is fine. It was a, payment plan. So then what ended up happening a couple of weeks is that oh yeah, it's coming through a little bit more. What happened is that somebody gives me a call from a collection agency telling me that I owe this much money and from these people, right? Provider. And I was like, what? So I look in my account, I kind of gauge what they're talking about, and I was pissed. I got instantly pissed and I was wondering, so they sent me to collections like that quickly? That's going to mess up my credit. So there was no call from them. It was just emails from time to time or whatnot, but still no call from them letting me know that this is what they're going to be doing or this is the next step. So, like I said, the payment for the Flex account, it went through, but I have to pay it back. So now I have to start making payments regularly, which is fine. So I immediately went to the website and made a payment. And then last week, I went ahead and gave them a call, the dentist. Did I give him a call this week? No. I gave him a call Monday, letting them know. I was like, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this. I just really wanted to see what they were going to say. I wasn't disputing the payment. I knew that it was a service that was rendered and I got the service, resolution, whatnot. Mine is still inkling on the left side that whenever I have cold things, it kind of really, it's still kind of sensitive, but I'll deal with that with a new dentist later on when I do my checkup later. And then, so nobody would give me a call. I try to get in contact with billing. And then they kept saying that they will give me a call later, blah, blah, blah. So then the next day happened. The same thing. And as I was doing this, I was getting more pissed. More so the principal. It's like I thought that we had a better working relationship than this. It's okay to have disagreements. I think I'm a reasonable person, but it's okay to have disagreements. So the lady that was on the phone told me that she will take care of it by the end of today. And And then I was like, what? By the end of the day, just look at it now, or look at it, fine, you're about to close, blah, 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 blah. Can you look at it by noon time? She said, no, by the end of the day. I was like, okay, cool, no problem. So as I was pissed thinking about it, I've already made a decision that I'm done with them, right? So I was going to go there, go ahead and pay off the charge and tell them in their face to cancel my follow-up teeth cleaning in July, and I'm done with them. So it actually worked out pretty well. Somebody was in front of me, handled the situation. And the person that I talked to on the phone yesterday, the very last person, said that she'll handle it at the end of the day, was there. And I told her, I was like, hey, I'm here to pay this balance. Let me know what the balance is. All right, cool. And then I told her that to cancel my follow-up, teeth cleaning, and then I'm done with them. And she was like, oh, what's going on? Oh. I was like, oh, you didn't give me a chance to fix it. I was like, I'm sorry. I've been trying to work with you guys since Monday about this. I've been giving calls. I've been giving the runaround. I don't know what's going on in his office. She said this is the first time she heard about it. I was like, it doesn't matter. I've given you guys enough time to handle this. And then the very second, and I mentioned this too, the very second that you don't see a payment go through, you send me straight to collections. And then she was like, but it's not to, it was initially. I said, but you did that. You did not give me a call. You did not tell me what was going on. That's what happened. And again, I'm trying to treat people. I am treating people. The way I go about treating people is as fairly and as ethical as possible. I don't make rash decisions. So when I made my decision and told her about that, she was like, oh, okay, we're done here. Okay. She was trying to say, you didn't give me a chance. I'm like, I gave you guys enough chance. I'm done. I will not allow you to put your hands in my mouth for anything. And then be on the hook of paying this or that and not being reasonable with the payments and all that stuff when things kind of get tough or a little fuzzy. I felt good. Did that. Didn't say nothing. Got my balance. Told her to throw everything away, delete whatever. I'm not coming back here no more. Done. So that was that. So I don't know why I say that or wanted to talk about that. I think it was because it was right on my mind and all that. And I think it goes back with not just coffee in general, but business, right? I try to do right by people. Even as I'm talking to you right now and talking about little mistakes that roasters make, as I make them from time to time, is that we have to try to reason with people and try to understand where they're coming from. My life isn't perfect. Their life isn't perfect. We don't know what people are going through. But at the end of the day, we are still in a situation to where we're all humans. We just want to be treated fairly and reasonably. And if somebody has a situation or argument around the situation, then that's where we can come together and talk about it like an adult, like as adults. So that's a business takeaway that I will try to be better about. Hell, I had one about that last week. I asked somebody about their coffee, and then I didn't get a response because most of the time when you ask, people tell you it's great. But this one, which is fine, because my coffee is great. They asked me, no, it's not as good as I thought. And I was like, okay, what was wrong with it? Oh, I don't like this flavoring because I do still do flavorings for people from time to time, and because it's on the website, and it's a decent amount of clientele that prefers it, that likes that stuff. So I do it. Oh, something about this flavor, don't like this flavor, and don't like this flavor, and I was like, oh, okay. So I went back to the listing, the order, and that's what she ordered, and before that, that's what she ordered too. So I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, what do you prefer? What do you want? Oh, probably vanilla. Is it too strong? Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. And then that was that, you know. It's okay to have a disagreement. I think I will eventually when I get back to that side of town. The place is far, so I will provide them the coffee as a complimentary, as a what they want or what they think that they want, to try to make it better. But at the end of the day, I'm just human too, so I have to understand it from their point of view. Also understand it from my point of view. If it makes, I mean, everything still comes back down to business, right? To money, making money. But how can we be better by people, by treating them as people and not as a dollar figure, while everybody is happy? Like you get a transaction out of it. You get a great cup of coffee or great bag of coffee, and I get a little bit of money to keep this business going and to help people out, right? That's where I'm at with that. So that was firing the dentist, right? So let's taste this magnesium. I'm not gonna tell you which magnesium company I use, but I will. I do consider them still the best, not best tasting, but the best because it actually is effective. It actually does work. When you drink it, magnesium, it lets you know if you have an issue or problem. It feels that way, but it gets you in the right mood. That's the way I like to look at it. Let me go check on this food real quick. Still sleeping? All right. Well, they're gonna be mad if it's overcooked. You don't care about that? Mm-hmm. No, they're going. Okay, so the problem I have with this magnesium is that they've changed it. It's like that band that does their first album or two, and their sound is your sound, and you told people that you discovered it, right? But in this case, it's changed to the point to where I had to literally like wait, push my order back about 3 or 4 months. I mean, one, I had a lot of it, right? But the other thing is all of them actually tasting the same. They have like three different flavors, and they just taste sweet. But the very first couple of this one was Meyer Lemon. Again, you can probably tell who I'm talking about if you were into magnesium and health and wellness and all that good stuff, right? But it was really good. It was really balanced. It reminded me of coffee, right? Because the flavors, the taste I was getting was sweetness, but it was a little bit more balanced with acidity, soft acidity. Of course, it did taste like Meyer lemon, right? Because it had that sweetness on it. But in this case, it's just sweet. It doesn't even resemble a lemon at all. And all the other ones taste the same way. And I think that's one of the issues that I have when people were chasing sweetness. To me, sweetness doesn't have that much of a soul if it doesn't have something else right next to it, which is that acidity, whichever way it does come to play in this situation, right? But this magnesium is, that's interesting that I'm saying this, but okay, why do you buy something like magnesium? I guess you can say that too about coffee, right? Most people buy coffee for a pick me up, right? Most people buy magnesium because the way it makes their body feel, deficiency, blah 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 blah, right? Mostly because of health reasons, the boring stuff, right? But in this case, it's kind of like pre-workout too. Pre-workout is designed to get you hype, which is a bullshit thing. That's another thing to talk about too. Not because they're a direct competitor to me, but I didn't really get the hypeness or need to be hyped to work out. Whatever. So, but I think the other part that's extremely important is that I'm putting this thing in my mouth. I'm enjoying it for a couple seconds, right? So I'm looking for it to do more than what it is said to do. Me personally, as a consumer, is looking for this, that it needs to taste good. Sure, I can mix different things with it. But now what I start to do is that I make the cup extremely small, more concentrated. And just to chug it and get it done because it's just sweet. It doesn't have a soul. And that's the reason why I don't like it as much anymore. And no matter which flavor I choose to partake with at the time when I need it a couple times a week, it's like medicine. I think that's what it is. It's like medicine. If it's like medicine, then, just give it to me in a capsule and let's just move on. I'll probably start doing that soon. Who knows? But I think that's extremely important to realize and know what people's ticking points are. What do they care for this beverage to be? And that's where I'm getting at with how do I present that in a coffee. For instance, I milled off all the coffees, probably one or two more that I need to do today during lunchtime when I fired the 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 dentist. Is that I'll be curious to see what other people really think about that coffee. Maybe I am too hard about it. Maybe I should hype it up. Probably people think it's spectacular. Who knows? I don't know. But at the end of the day, we get to the point to where we know why we like things and we want that to be represented as much as possible. And I think that's the reason why in this case I love coffee, because you're right in the people's face and you get a decent amount of turnaround to where they either consume it again or they don't, or for whatever reason. And that's what we're working with, really. At the end of the day, you want people to keep coming back for more and more and more. I really don't make any money if somebody comes one time and bounces and goes on to the next thing. I think that's one of my gripes with specialty coffee people, because they're like sluts. Again, we'll talk about that later, but they're just on to the next thing. They don't really stay with any roaster, really. They just want to see what's next for a person. And that's a lot of pressure for a roaster if you think about it. It's like they have to constantly change their SKUs in order to pique the interest of people. But I mean, at the end of the day, those same people have things that are staples in their lives. We're not talking about coffee here. We're just talking about things that they have a white shirt or some jeans that they wear every week, right? Or they have a particular food or strawberries or whatnot that they get every single week. They're not changing that up. So that's really more so the psychology that I'm trying to understand, to figure out is like, what will get you to want to have something from me all the time, even if it doesn't change as much as it should, right? Or you feel that it should. Because that's a lot of pressure if you think about it. So that's what I'm getting at with this particular magnesium. It works. It's fine. It's extremely effective, but even though it's more so like an illusion that they have like 3 or 4 flavors, but they actually just have one with different food colorings. That's the way I see it. And that's the issue that I have towards what I'm thinking about. I may send this to them. I won't, I'll just send it to them, see what they say, and we'll go from there. But again, at the end of the day, we're just really trying to help out each other. I do like the fact that if I ask somebody a question, they give me a real answer. And the same thing here, just try to help people out where you can to give them some objective words that they can take and understand and get to the point of where it will be helpful. It will be better. It will change actually, right? So that's what we got going for that magnesium and all that good stuff. Let's finish up this coffee real quick. It's cooled down mostly. Yeah. May have to scratch that idea. It's like there's a big, like, attack on my tongue of acidity, and then it dies down. A little bit of chocolate notes on it. So it may not need any type of agitation. But this is, I think, the closest I can get to what this coffee tastes like. Because remember, it's still light roast, right? So you can't really change it to the point to where it's totally changed. It is what it is. But it does feel better on the tongue and all that good stuff, right? So I'm really proud about it. Really pushing myself on this. So we'll roll with it. We'll taste the finer version of it tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So here's the last topic. I think I've rambled enough, right? Is I think women, mothers, are my target market. I think so. I'm going back and forth with that because just kind of looking at my demographic of the people who ordered the free coffee. So seemed like it was still all over the place, Women, different nationalities, all across America. Most of them wanted whole beans. Some of them were nice about it and they only got one bag of coffee. I wish for some of them I was able to give them a little bit more, but I didn't. But I think about the actual demographic and who it may appeal to. And it's interesting because I see this lady almost every day as I drop off my kids when I can. She has a cup of coffee in her hand every single time as she's walking her kids to school. I would say she's my ideal client. You know what I'm talking about, right? Are you laughing at me? Oh, okay. But yeah, okay. No, I was talking about like the ideal client and like how I was mentioning to whoever listens to this, which I don't know who does, is I think my ideal client is women, and then the person or I think about is the person, the lady who walks her kids to school.
You want the cup? You want some?
Yes, all time. All
You see
time.
on your face the front, he just has a cup.
Cup of
The cup.
coffee in her hand.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't play
She doesn't
around.
have a cup. She
No.
doesn't. She has her cup.
A cup of coffee. Oh, you talked to her? Oh, okay. Well, I want to give her some of our coffee. And she's just moving and grooving like mothers do and trying to get the kids out, trying to see what's next on the to-do list and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way the business is set up right now, maybe Amazon will help that out a little bit, is that it's kind of not geared to a particular audience, right? You know, I mean, yeah, change the bag up here and there, but again, I think it's about the messaging and what is actually being said. But I do think women are what's up? I think women are the market. You know, some dudes come here and there. I'm not discrediting my dudes. My dudes are cool, you know, but mothers are, they know what they want. They understand what's important to them, what they can skimp on, what they can't skip on, and things, creature comforts that they have to have no matter what, you know? So, what does that really look like? Well, how can I be able to make that happen? I don't know. I don't know. That's one of the things that I think about all the time of conveying, creating a message that is geared towards them. Of course, yeah, you can go ahead and do the whole, calendar thingy where you have Mother's Day, you have Valentine's Day, you can do all that, you know. I think that's the lazy marketing, but it does work, right? But truthfully, I think one of the things I would like to work on is really just giving the product to people, the target market, and really just kind of getting an understanding of the way they go about things to see if I understand what they're saying and to give them that thing. I do think the 2 pound bags is where it's at because it's one less thing to worry about. But the issue that I think that it is that majority of the situation is that it is online, right? So you're telling somebody to remember to order a cup of coffee, and a lot of people don't like subscriptions to begin with. They have so many. Is that now you're telling them to isolate something that they do every day or every other week by going to the grocery store and putting a bag of coffee into the cart because that's easy, right? That's something easy that anybody can do is just put it in a cart. You don't worry about it, and you don't worry about if you're running low or whatnot. You already know if you're running low, but something about the online aspect of it is kind of throwing that off a little bit. So that's something to think about, to worry about, because you get everything. You get your wine, you get some pizza, you get your son's gluten free, bread. Sometimes you do may have to make different trips to different stores because something may not have this or that, but those are the inconvenience things that you're okay with. But I don't know. It's interesting to kind of like just talk it out, to go about it that way. And I think Amazon's going to help out quite a bit because they can either do it as a subscription or they can just click it. And that's another thing to probably talk about later on, is that the beauty of Amazon is that I call it a second pantry, because you don't really have to have everything in your house, right? Just when you're low. And that's the beauty of Amazon. It's like, okay, I don't have to pack my whole house like a prepper with all the stuff in the house, right? If I need some salt, some more salt, and I'm low, I can literally put in an order and a day or two later it's there, right? So I think that's a cool, interesting appeal to kind of decreasing the amount of hurdles and frictions in the situation, right? But yeah, so I think it is women. So let's see what we can do about that. How does that work? And to generally understand their ticking points, right? So yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna be back on here tomorrow morning talking about something else. And we'll go from there. Probably do part of my script that I just wrote down. Hopefully it's not garbage. I think it's fine. I'll probably play around with it a little bit, let it kind of foster a little bit, again, kind of get more of an idea of all that stuff. And I think that's what I'm going to talk about probably tomorrow, which is, telling the story is overrated. So to be continued. Talk to you later.